India's Prime Minister Modi is being keenly watched right now by the Western allies because during this big NATO summit on what to do about Russia, guess who went to Russia to meet with President Vladimir Boot Scootin' Nuke and Shootin' Putin? But Modi of India in Moscow. Mr. Modi landed yesterday, just hours after Russia bombed, killing at least 41 people in Ukraine, including several children in a children's hospital in Kiev. This sparked a global outcry. So while Putin was bombing the children's hospital, Modi was showing up in Moscow. His plane was landing. Photos from Moscow showed a beaming Prime Minister Modi hugging Russian President Vladimir Putin. A video of a smiling Vladimir Putin calling Mr. Modi my dearest friend and telling him that he was delighted to see him has gone viral now in India. Prime Minister Modi's 2-day visit, his first to the Kremlin since 2019, coincides exactly at the same time that NATO is having a summit in Washington, D.C. to discuss the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, and will be the major theme of the meetings in Washington. India is a key global economy, has close ties with both Russia and the United States, and its partners and officials in Delhi are playing down the questions over the timing of Prime Minister Modi's trip. They say the annual summit is part of a long-standing strategic partnership, and its scheduling had nothing to do with the NATO summit. But a sour note has been struck with the U.S. expressing concern as the State Department spokesman Matthew Miller urged Prime Minister Modi to emphasize Ukraine's territorial integrity during his talks in Moscow. Miller also said the U.S. had raised concerns with India regarding its relationship with Russia. We would urge India, as we do any country, when it engages with Russia, to make clear that any resolution to the conflict in Ukraine needs to be one of the top priorities that respects the UN Charter, that respects Ukraine's territorial integrity and Ukraine's sovereignty. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky went a little further. He didn't mince his words. He said, quote, "It is a huge disappointment and a devastating blow to peace efforts to see the leader of the world's largest democracy hugging the world's most bloodiest criminal in Moscow," he said. Prime Minister Modi told President Putin that India was ready to offer any assistance in establishing peace in the Ukraine. And Russia state TV quoted him saying that war was not a solution. He also said that the death of the children was painful and terrifying a day after the deadly attack in Kiev's children's hospital. Whether it is war, conflict, or a terrorist attack, any person who believes in humanity is pained when there is loss of life, said Prime Minister Modi. But even at that, when innocent children are killed, the heart bleeds and the pain is very terrifying. The NATO summit in Washington began today, and there's a lot of skeptical politicians among the European allies at why Modi trip to Russia was the exact same time as NATO's summit in Washington.